wake up today to be average. So why are we living that way? I truly do believe that God wants us to be wealthy. God desires for us to live our best. You can have everything that you want in this life. You can have the money, the family, the marriage, the business, the car, whatever it is that you want. You can have it. Wealth is your birthright. You deserve to be wealthy. These are the secrets of a money mogul, the keys to living an abundant life. Hey moguls, welcome to episode 10 of the Secrets of a Money Mogul podcast. I am so happy to be in the double digits, y'all. We've made it to 10 episodes. So in today's episode is right on time, y'all. I'm talking about one of the main things that held me back from starting this podcast. I mentioned it in episode 1, but we're going to take a deep dive in today's episode, and that is overcoming perfectionism. I know I'm not the only recovering perfectionist out there. I know that there are a lot of people that are struggling with this, and I really just want to have an open conversation about signs that, let you know that you are a perfectionist or you're suffering from this. And then how do we really begin to overcome it? What are some ways that I overcame perfectionism? But before we get started, I just want to make a couple of announcements. Just want to thank you all who are continuing to listen with me. Thank you for your support, your love, sharing on social media. I really appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the reviews. You guys are really amazing. And you just let me know that this is the reason why I do this show, right? I do this for women like you who are ready to change their money, change their mindset, change their lives, and really have it all, really have everything that God has called them for. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not leaving nothing on the table. I want it all. Everything that God has promised to me. And I know that you want everything that God has promised to you. So I'm still booking speaking engagements for 2019. If you have an event coming up and you need a speaker, a keynote, a breakout session, I am your girl. So please go ahead and email me at hello@mymoneymogul.com, and I can get you my speaker one sheet and also the rates, my current rates. So I would love to be a speaker at your event and pour into your audience and help some more women change their lives. And also, if you would like to apply for coaching with me, I'm taking one-on-one clients, a very select few. You do have to go through an application process. We get on the phone, we talk, we chat about your goals, and I only take clients that I truly believe that I can help. I am not one of the coaches that take your money and don't give you results. My goal is to get you results, whether that be in your business, whether that be in your life, whether that be with coming up with a wealth building plan, focusing on your mindset, which is just so important. Literally the key to everything. So you can apply for coaching with me at mymoneymogul.com/work. mymoneymogul.com/work. And work is spelled WORK. And that'll be all in the show notes. But let's get started on perfectionism, okay? Overcoming perfectionism. So I read a quote that said, at its root, perfectionism isn't really about a deep love for being meticulous. It's about fear. Fear of making a mistake, fear of disappointing others, fear of failure, and fear of success. Y'all, when I heard that quote, it really hit me because I was like, this is so true. At its core, perfectionism is about fear. And it's kind of like a mask that we hide behind. And I can tell you guys, it's something that I suffered for years. Like, for some reason, I got this ideal that I had to be perfect, that I had to portray this perfect image. Even when I first started my business, it was like Don't share your business mistakes because, people won't want to work with you. But that shows that we're human. People want to work with people that are human, that have overcome the same mistakes that we are going through. And I think that it's necessary that we let go of this ideal that we have to be perfect. Not only is it like so much pressure, it's just not, it's not something that we should really be aspiring to be, because who really wants that type of pressure to be perfect? Nobody. So I'm going to start out with talking about the 8 signs that you are a perfectionist. And let me tell you guys, I have at some point in my life suffered from every single one of these signs. So I was honest with you guys. I am a recovering perfectionist. I still suffer from perfectionism at times. So the first sign that you are a perfectionist is procrastination. How many of us put things on the back burner because we are waiting for them to be perfect? And really all we're doing is just procrastinating, just avoiding the inevitable. Like, we know God told us to write that book, but we keep putting it on the back burner. We know God told us to apply for that promotion, but maybe we'll catch the next time it comes around. We just keep putting it on the back burner. My book is one of the things that I have been procrastinating on. I have known for years that God has given me the vision for this book. I have started it. I have chapters done. The name has changed a couple of times, but the core of the book has always been the same. And let me tell you, procrastination is at its core when it comes to that. Like, I will put it on the back burner so many times. So many times I'll put it on the back burner. But, I'm speaking it here on this podcast. I'm speaking it live, letting you guys know that that is something that I'm definitely putting on the forefront for 2019. So no more procrastination. But procrastination is a sign that you might be struggling with perfectionism. The second sign that you might be struggling with perfectionism is the need to please others. I am a recovering people pleaser. I don't know why I used to seek my validation in other people. I don't know why that was so important to me. I don't know if it had to do with, growing up without a father. I don't really know at its core the reason for it. But I will tell you that when we put our faith in people, they let us down. And this need to please others. First of all, one thing I realized is that we can be so worried about everybody else and their opinion of us, and people are out living their lives, having their own set of issues, dealing with their own money issues, their own relationship issues, their own things that are going on in their lives, that they're not even worried about us. Like, I think that we think people care too much. And yeah, there is a certain amount of people who are, always looking for the tea, always in everybody's business, always judging other people. But most of the time that has to do with something within themselves. It actually has nothing to do with you if you're the person that they're judging. But this need to please others can be paralyzing for us because, people can never validate you. They can never validate the calling on your life the way that God has. They just can't. They don't have the ability. They were never meant to validate you. They were never meant to give you the okay to be you. They were never meant to do that. So we need to stop putting people in that role. We need to stop putting people on that pedestal. We need to stop allowing people to have that much control over us. So if you feel a strong need to please others, a strong need to look a certain way on social media or look a certain way for your family or your friends, you might be struggling with perfectionism. That's a sign of perfectionism. So the third sign that you might be a perfectionist or that you might be struggling with perfectionism is that you are overly critical of yourself. Y'all, we are our biggest critic. I am my biggest critic. If I put something out, sometimes with these podcasts, sometimes I can't even go back and listen to the episode, because if I go back and listen to the episode, I'm gonna be like, "Dang, Jalesa, you should have not said that here. You should have added this story, or you should have done it this way." I will be super overly critical of myself. So I make it a point that once I put content out there, it's out there. It's out there for people to consume it, and it's done. What I don't want to do is beat myself up about something. The smallest things, like, oh, I don't like the way your voice sounds there. Back when I did a lot of webinars, y'all, when I first started my business, webinars were like my thing. Like, I love to do webinars, and I still do love to do webinars. I'm probably going to be putting some out very, very soon. But when you're on camera, and people can see you and you're live, things happen. Things happen live. So I had to learn how not to critique myself, or how not to get down on myself because the video dropped, or because, I didn't look a certain way, or I didn't say things a certain way that I thought I would say it on the webinar. Like, I had to learn how to let it go. So when you are overly critical of yourself, when you beat yourself up for even the smallest little thing, you are struggling from perfectionism. The fourth sign you're struggling from perfectionism is when you are harsh or critical towards others. So sometimes when you see someone, on social media, and you begin to criticize them, or you're harsh on them, or maybe one of your friends tells you something and you're just very critical and harsh towards them, sometimes that's a sign of perfectionism. That's a sign for you wanting everything to be perfect. It's like you don't allow people to make mistakes, or just be who they are, their authentic self. None of us are perfect, right? We're all flawed. Nobody's perfect but God. So if you're not God, accept the fact that they're not perfect. So the fifth way that a fifth sign that you might be a perfectionist is that you cannot take or tolerate criticism. Meaning that if someone critiques your work, maybe a client, or maybe a boss, or maybe a husband or a spouse or a wife critiques the way that you do something, you can't take it. You can't tolerate any type of feedback. And that goes back to kind of number 3, which is what we were talking about, which goes to being overly critical of yourself. If you are overly critical of yourself, you cannot take other people's feedback, because it only reinforces the negative chatter that you have towards yourself, and it just allows you to open the door and beat yourself up. Or you feel like people are beating you up by being critical of you, or giving you you can't take any type of feedback. If you can't take any type of feedback, you are a perfectionist. And that's definitely something that has to change. The sixth way that you can tell that you are a perfectionist, the sixth sign that you're a perfectionist, is that you aim to be the best at everything, even if you have no interest in it. So when I first started in business, I learned about what's called your zone of genius. And your zone of genius is the one thing that you are exceptionally good at. And because we're humans and we make mistakes, and there's no possible way that we can be good at every single thing in life, everyone has a zone of genius, the one thing that they are excellent at. So when you become the person that tries to be excellent at everything, you are a perfectionist. Instead of operating in your zone of genius, you're trying to be a genius at everything. You're trying to be a genius at social media marketing and consulting and speaking, and you're trying to be a genius at everything. You don't know how to do delegate or anything. You just want to control everything. That means you could be suffering from perfectionism. So you want to be the best at everything, even if you have absolutely no interest in it. That means you could be suffering from perfectionism. So the seventh sign that you might be suffering from perfectionism is you spend excessive amounts of time on one task or planning one task. This was me. If there's any of these signs that shows you that you're a perfectionist, this was my sign right here. Y'all, I would spend so much time on one task, perfecting one task, doing one thing, or even just planning one thing. I remember, it's getting ready to be the beginning of the year. It's December. We're getting ready to get up on January 1st, which is the new me, new year, new me, new life, whatever it is. I used to be the person that would buy the prettiest planner. I mean, it would be so nice. It would be so pretty. I'd get all the stickers. I'd get the gel pens. I'd have the different colors meaning different things, and I'd write in my planner. I'd spend so much time, an excessive amount of time, an unhealthy amount of time planning and not taking action. And that's a sign that you could be struggling from perfectionism. If you spend an excessive amount of time planning one task or just even doing one task, you are suffering from perfectionism. And then the eighth and final sign that you might be suffering from perfectionism is that you have an all or nothing approach. So there is no gray area. It's all of this or none of this. Like it's black and white. There's no gray. And that can sometimes become unhealthy, because if for whatever reason the all doesn't work out for you, especially with business, and I'm going to use this for my entrepreneurs, even my corporate queens, y'all, like when it comes to your career, when it comes to your means for making money, you cannot have an all or nothing approach. And I'm going to talk more about this in the next section. But the reason you can't have an all or nothing approach is because the journey changes. It changes daily. It changes weekly. It changes monthly. Like sometimes you have to learn how to roll with the punches. And if you are expecting things to work out exactly as you planned it because you have that perfectionist mindset, and you're not open to some change, you're not open to some valleys, you're not open to some things that just come up in business. If you're not open to those things and all you have is nope, it's all or nothing, most of the time you're going to end up with nothing. So those are the 8 signs that you might be suffering from perfectionism. And as a recovering perfectionist, it would not be right if I didn't give you some ways that you can overcome perfectionism, some ways that have helped me to overcome perfectionism, something that's helping me work on this day in and day out, because I know for certain that perfectionism is not going to get me to my goal. Being overly critical on myself is not going to get me to my goal. Procrastination is not going to get me to my goal. All these signs of perfectionism do not help you reach your goals. And that's what I'm all about, helping women reach their goals. So you guys know that I talk about it openly on the podcast. I am very clear. I've been praying about it. I'm very clear that, it is my mission to help 1 million women reach financial freedom. Helping women build wealth through entrepreneurship, helping women build wealth through, smart money moves. That's just my goal. But as a recovering perfectionist, I almost never stepped out. I almost never started this podcast. Y'all have heard that story. If you haven't, go back and listen to episode 1, where I talk all about the 5 reasons that that kept me from starting this podcast. So I almost never started this podcast. I almost never started My Money Mogul. I almost never did any webinars, courses, almost never did any live events. It almost never happened. And it's like, looking back, what would happen if I had never stepped out, if I had never touched the lives that I was supposed to touch? And not even about me. What will happen if you don't live your purpose? What will happen if you don't reach your destiny? Who will be left to the wayside? Whose lives won't be changed? Even if it's just the people, everybody's not called to the main stage. Everybody's not supposed to affect hundreds and thousands of people. And that's okay. There are many of us that are, though, and that might be you listening to my voice. But what about the people around us who you are set to inspire and be an example to? What about your children? Now that I'm a mother, I look at my daughter every day and I think about the example that I want to set for her. Like, there's no way that I can tell her to chase her dreams. There's no way that I can tell her to go after everything that she wants in life while I sit there and settle. There's no way. And I don't want to do that. So perfectionism is one of those things that I had to overcome if I was going to reach the next level in life. So, and that's what I want for you. That's what I want for everyone listening to my voice. That's what I want for everybody listening to this podcast, everybody that I come in contact with, people that that will never even meet me, never even know of me, but somehow will get this information. That is what I want. That's my true desire. So let's talk about it. The first way to overcome perfectionism is to avoid the perfectionism mind trap. So the perfectionism mind trap is basically where you focus on information that is not important, or requests that are not important. So, for example, if I am, I'm trying to think of an example. For example, if I am going to be doing a live event, right? I'm going to be doing a live event. And I am actually right now planning a live event. I'm going to be doing a live event, and the purpose of the live event is to teach women the money skills necessary to have their first 6-figure year, right? Have their first 6-figure year, so have their first 6-figure year in revenue, but also how to manage and keep that money, right? So that it can multiply later. So that's my goal for this live event. And instead of focusing on my main goal, I would be overly focused on things like the flowers, right? Or the tablecloth, or what color the chairs are, or all this unimportant stuff that has nothing to do with my goal. Am I telling you to have an event and it to be just, look a mess and be trash? No, that's not what I'm telling you. But I'm telling you, sometimes we can overly focus on the things that do not matter. And that also reminds me of my wedding. I remember when I was getting married and we were cutting back costs because we had a very strict budget. And we wanted to stay within that budget. And I remember talking about how I wanted this particular centerpiece. And I was like, I really want this centerpiece. It's so pretty, blah, blah, blah. And a friend of mine was just like, who cares about the centerpieces? And I was like, I care about the centerpieces. And then she made a point to me. She's like, so at that point I had attended like 3 weddings that same year. She's like, you've attended 3 weddings. And she's like, tell me what the centerpieces look like. And I was like, wait a minute. I had no idea what the centerpieces looked like, y'all. I could not remember what color the flowers were. I could not remember if it was a vase. I was like, I really don't remember. And she was like, exactly. People are not going to remember the flowers. They're not going to remember the vases. And if they do, they might remember it for maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe right after the event happens. But a year down the line, people don't remember those things. What they remember is how much fun they had at your wedding, how they enjoyed celebrating your love, what an amazing couple you guys are, things like that. So it's like when you're looking at going to the next level in business, I use the 2 live events as an example, but you cannot focus on the minute things. You cannot focus on the font and the color of your website and the logo and the things that do not necessarily matter. That is you being a perfectionist. And I meet so many emerging entrepreneurs that are so focused on their logo. And I'm like, you don't even have a business model. You don't even have a revenue model. You don't even have a way to generate income. Right now, you have a hobby. We don't need to focus on a logo. We need to focus on who are you helping, how are you helping them, and how are you generating money doing that. That's it. Then you can focus on everything else, making it pretty and everything. What people don't know is my logo was, I don't even remember when I got a logo, to tell the truth. And I know that it needs to be redone, but it's not something that's at the top of my priority list because I know for a fact it's unimportant information and it's almost just a distraction from what I need to be focused on, which is changing lives. So that's number 1. The second way to overcome perfectionism is to remove the all or nothing mindset. Remove the all or nothing mindset that we talked about earlier. It's not serving you. It's not. So allow yourself to do things incompletely and imperfectly, and allow yourself to make mistakes. I say this all the time. I think this phrase is stuck with me. My coach gave it to me, my first business coach, which is done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. You can always go back and tweak things as you go. And if you're in business, it should be doing that anyway. You should be doing that anyway. With your life, things aren't going to be perfect the first time you do it. Nobody expects you to get on the track and, run a 4-minute mile. We expect for, you to train for that, for you to spend day in and day out getting better and better and better so that you can accomplish that goal. But nobody expects you to just wake up and do that. So remove the all or nothing mindset and remember that done is better than perfect. It is okay to make mistakes. Learn how to be okay with making mistakes. They're not even mistakes if you learn from them. They are just growing pains. They are just something that you have to do to get to the next level. And we all have to do it. We all are going to have some setbacks. But pushing through them is really, really what separates the great from the all right, from the okay, from the mediocre. The successful people from those who are just average, right? Some of these small tweaks, these small things, and I know you can look around and you can see maybe people doing the things that you would want to do, maybe people in the position that you would want to be in the corporate position that you would want to be in, and you feel like they're not, you notice all these flaws, you're overly critical of them, which is a sign of perfectionism. But either way, you notice all these things that they lack or that you would be a better candidate for that in. But they are still in that position, right? They're still doing that thing. And it's because they are allowing themselves to do it while making mistakes. They are allowing themselves to pursue things while making mistakes. And that's important for us to recognize. The third way to overcome perfectionism is to delegate and let go. It is okay to take a deep breath and let go and release control. It is okay to not be in control of everything. It is okay to delegate. This is something I had to learn, especially in business. I had to learn it because I had a really hard time delegating, y'all. Like, really, really. I felt like I could just do it. And how many of us are struggling with this because we feel like we have to do everything. We feel like we can't delegate. I don't know. Lately, I've been delegating grocery shopping. I've been doing the grocery pickup, the grocery delivery, because it's just a time saver for me. I just felt like there was more. I could be using my time more wisely. But in business, I had to learn how to delegate some social media. I had to delegate for a while. I had delegated my blog post. I delegated a lot. I had to relinquish control of a lot because if I had to do everything, it would not get done. Most of it would not get done. So learn how to delegate and let go, whether that be in your personal life, whether that be in your professional life, whether that be in your business. Learn how to delegate and let go. So the fourth way to overcome perfectionism is to be attached to the goals, but not to how you get there. Be attached to what you ultimately want to accomplish, but do not marry how you get there because it'll change. You know, we talked about being flexible. You have to be flexible and open to things changing, the route changing. You know, God showing you, revealing different things to you at different times that causes you to change a different course, to do a different to take a different action. So use your ideals as guidelines, but do not make them absolute. As you begin to get ideals to take you to the next level in your life or in your business, use them as a guideline, but do not make them absolute. Do not make them the end all be all. Sometimes we get so attached to how things should take place, what order things should be in, that we're not open to any new feedback, and we don't reroute when we should. And one of these things, and when I'm talking about be attached to the goals and not necessarily how you get there, also don't be attached to when you get there, right? Everything happens in God's timing. Like, I have so many friends that I've talked to lately that all talk about, you know, we're all coming up on, well, I am 30, but I have a lot of friends that are somewhat a little bit younger than me, so they're all coming up on 30, and it's like, oh, by 30, I should be doing XYZ. I should have 2.5 kids, and I should be married with a husband with a 2-story house and a white picket fence and a booming 6-figure business. And it's like, did God give you that plan, or did you make that plan? And I'm not telling you not to desire those things, because you absolutely should desire those things if that's what's on your heart. But who said you had to be there by 30? Who said you had to be there by 26? Who said you had to be there by 35? Who put these limits on there? You did. They weren't necessarily in God's plan. So learn how to be flexible, learn how to be open to the guidelines, because sometimes when we put these deadlines on things that there was never meant to be a deadline on, and then we get so discouraged when it doesn't happen by that time, that we end up missing out on other blessings because God needed us to be focusing on something else while we were just too discouraged because we haven't met our husband in 2.5 seconds, you know? So I just want to put that out there. So that was number 4, which was be attached to the goal, but not how you get there or when you get there. So the 5th way to overcome perfection is to learn to respect and love yourself. Self-love heals so many things. And this is something that I have been learning for the last year. I feel like I have been back on a self-love journey. God has been taking me full circle because self-love can heal your relationships. It can help you to have, better relationships, whether those be romantic relationships or friendships or family relationships. Self-love can help you heal your money, heal your relationship with money. If you are, squandering all your wealth, you're spending all your wealth, or you don't know where your money is going, typically those are kind of signs that you have a bad relationship with money, and you have to begin to heal that. And it starts with self-love. Like, if you don't feel worthy of money, you're just going to get rid of all of the money that you have. Even if you're making very good money, or you're just not going to be using it the way that you should be using it to actually build wealth. You're just going to be using it to just buy things that are kind of irrelevant. But self-love helps with that. Self-love and grace helps to cure perfectionism. I'm not surprised that self-love helps cure perfectionism, because it allows you not to be so critical on yourself, not to feel like this pressure that you have to be perfect. It helps you to be open to making mistakes. And it helps you to just love yourself. Just be okay with being who you are in this moment and not feeling like you have to be anybody else but who you are currently. Not feeling like you have to be this image that you portray, but being okay with having flaws, with having errors. And it's something that I had to learn, that I'm still learning, that I'm still practicing. Self-love is something that I feel like it's a journey. You have to do it every day. It's like showering. You have to do a self-love practice every day. And it helps. It helps with many things. Like I said, it helps with your relationships, with your money. And it's at no surprise that it helps with curing perfectionism. It helps you to overcome perfectionism. So that is number 5. All right, y'all. Number 6. Number 6 on how to overcome perfectionism is to celebrate all wins. Celebrate all wins. I am definitely learning this day in and day out. I'm celebrating big wins, small wins. I'm celebrating as I'm recording this podcast, because guess what? We've made it to 10 episodes, y'all. This is episode 10, and I'm so excited to be sticking with it, being consistent, not giving up, celebrating every time I put out a new episode, celebrating every time I'm getting a new client, celebrating every time I'm even just getting on the phone with a new potential client, celebrating every time one of my clients has a win, celebrating it all. So it doesn't matter if it's a big win or a small win. Learn to celebrate all of your wins. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this big celebration with balloons and cake and confetti and all of these things. It can just be something as small as like cheering, jumping up and down, like, getting yourself a single cupcake from Gigi's Cupcakes, which is like one of my favorite cupcake places, or Sprinkles. I love Sprinkles cupcakes too. Or maybe you're very health conscious and you don't want to celebrate with food. That's fine. Celebrate whatever makes you happy, by your favorite yoga class or whatever it is. Just find ways to celebrate big and small wins, whether that be in your relationship, in every area of your life. Learn how to celebrate. So, and that's number 6. So the 7th and final way to overcome perfectionism is to be a healthy perfectionist. So I've spent all episode telling you not to be a perfectionist. Now I'm like, oh, number 7 is be a healthy perfectionist. Not exactly. Don't be a perfectionist. But what I'm saying is that Commit to your goals. Commit to your destination, but don't let failure define you. So not necessarily being a perfectionist in the sense that that you have to have everything perfect, but committing to your end result. And that helps you to cure perfectionism. So just to kind of recap what we just talked about, we talked about the 8 signs that you are a perfectionist. I know that some of y'all recognize some of those signs in you. I know that I sure did. And we talked about how to overcome perfectionism, which is avoiding the perfectionism mind trap, remove the all or nothing mindset. Number 3 was delegate and let go. Number 4 was be attached to the goal, but not how or when you get there. Number 5 was learn to respect and love yourself. Number 6 was celebrate all wins. And number 7 was commit to your goal and don't let failure define you. So that's all we have for today's episode, y'all. The guest episodes are coming. I am just getting started recording those, and I am so excited to have so many amazing people come sit and talk to you guys. So make sure you subscribe. We're going to be talking about building wealth through real estate investing. We're going to be talking about the stock market. We're going to be talking about relationships, having healthy marriages. We're going to be talking about healing from heartbreak. We're going to be talking about stress management. All of these are going to be conversations that we're going to be having with guest experts that some of them, charge lots and lots and lots and lots of money to get to pick their brain. All of them charge to pick their brain. But for 45 minutes, they let me sit down and ask them questions. And I'm just so excited to share their answers with you guys. Also, don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. And I'm now accepting your questions. I can't believe I forgot to tell you guys this at the beginning of the episode, but if you would like to submit a question on life, a question on business, a question on money, I would love to answer your question on the podcast. So you can go to my website and click on the Ask a Mogul tab, or you can go to mymoneymogul.com/ask. mymoneymogul.com/ask, and that will take you to the page where you can either type in your question or you can record a voicemail for me, and then your voice will be heard live on the air. Well, not live on the air, but because these podcasts are not live, but you'll hear your voice asking the question before I answer it. So I would love for you guys to submit me some questions. Helps me to create amazing content that you guys want to hear. And I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for rocking with me for 10 episodes, y'all. This is episode 10. I'm so excited. Have a great day. Hi, it's Jalesa Ann, and I know that you know 3 to 5 people who could have used this information, who might be struggling with perfectionism, and I just want you to do me a big favor and share this on social media. Go ahead and open up your app and text this episode to 3 to 5 friends who you know could use this information. Tag me on Instagram or at My Money Mogul or on Facebook. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing the feedback. It helps me to keep going and keep putting out amazing content that you guys want to hear. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I'll see you next week.